heard the stories. You're going to today listen to the testimony of a lady by the name of Aviva. And I thought, you know, in ancient Hebrew, there's no word for coincidence. My granddaughter's name is Aviva. This Aviva that you're going to see the interview today was a hostage with her husband for 51 days. Her husband, almost a year later, is still a hostage. And by the way, he's an American. He's not an Israeli. He's an American. And you don't hear one thing by the Democratic Party about the hostages that are still there in Gaza almost 1 year later, 115 of them. One of them is Keith, an American, and he is Aviva's husband. I almost didn't show you this, but I promise you we edited out the worst parts because what you're about to hear is horrible. But what she told us was beyond human understanding. Watch this and let God move you on why we need to, you and I need to stand with the nation of Israel.
My whole neighborhood are the people that were killed, burnt alive. The two children burnt alive. Two children, one 9 and one 7, that hid themselves in the cupboard for 19 hours while their mother was dead in front of their eyes. And I know of a family that they found them hugging on the bed and just shot. Oh. I know that they burnt people alive. And they raped people. I know one of the things that's very hard for me to think about it is that people were shot and they couldn't bring anybody to help them. And they called their family and spoke to their family while they were still alive. And they died slowly. Can you think about anything worse than that for a family to think about?
No.
When we say, at least he's not suffering anymore because he's dead, but they died slowly. Keith and I were taken in our pajamas from our house, and people asked me, didn't you think that it could happen? No, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because how could I think about something like that? If I thought about something like that, I wouldn't have lived there. Yeah. It was all beyond what happened. On Kibbutz Be'eri, 100 houses were burnt.
Yeah.
50 of those houses, there's nobody to go back to.
Yeah.
There's no houses to build for because the people were killed.
They're dead.
They did. 50. I'm telling you all these things because the same kind of people were with me for 51 days, for 7 weeks and 2 days. And Keith is still with them. And the hostages are with those people that are mean. They don't see you as people. And they don't give you any kind of respect of being people. When I came out, people asked me, did they respect you because you're old? And I said, no, they didn't. They pushed me, they pulled my hair, they shouted at me. They were so brutal that they starved me, and they starved Keith and the girls that were with us while they ate in front of us. Can you believe that?
So they're
that somebody would do
you
that. They're starving while they're eating in front of us.
They didn't treat you like a human.
They didn't treat, we didn't, first of all, they didn't give us any human right. At all, nothing. We weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to feel. We weren't allowed to hug. We weren't allowed to cry. We weren't allowed to move. They took control of everything that they could. Everything. I don't understand it. I just don't understand how people, humans, could do things like that to people. That people asked me if I had hope. And they took my hope away. And they took me away so many times that I just wanted to die. I used to tell myself, okay, please just kill me and I'll finish with all of this. Because whenever Keith needed to go to the bathroom, I was scared that something would happen to Keith. If they took Keith to a different room, like to talk to him or to do whatever they did, different things, I was scared
Sure.
that something would happen to Keith,
Sure.
or I was scared that Keith would die in front of me and I would see him dead, and that we would die slowly. And I just so many times had that need of just, I want to just vanish from this world. Don't want to be here anymore. And Keith is still there. When Keith and I arrived to Gaza, on the way they pushed us, and Keith was hurt. They broke his ribs. And they shot us.
They shot you?
They shot us. They shot us.
And they shot Keith?
And they shot Keith. It hit Keith's hand.
It wasn't, they just shot him.
They just shot us. And that's how he got to Gaza in terrible, terrible pain. And I was the only one that took care of Keith. And the family that came into the tunnel with us from Gaza, the mother with 3 children, she told us that her daughter had fainted and they told her to wake her up and she couldn't, and they shot her.
Oh.
And they shot her in front of the mother. So the mother was saying, they shot my daughter, and I said to her, maybe she's gonna be okay. Somebody will take care of her, don't worry. And she said, they shot my husband.
Oh.
And they killed him. So I said, maybe your daughter isn't dead. Maybe they'll find a way and the ambulance will come and take her. And she said, no, they shot her face.
They shot her
They
face.
shot her face in front of the mother.
The little girl.
The little girl. In front of her mother, in front of her brothers and sister. One of the days, one of the girls went to the bathroom, and while she came back, I could see on her face that something happened. When she came back, she was very quiet, and the whole room was quiet. We were just like looking at each other in the eyes, and we knew that something bad had happened. And after a couple of hours, she came to me and she said, he touched me. We were scared all the time. We were tortured all the time in many. One of the days, one of the girls was called by a Hamas terrorist out of the room. And then he brought her back and he told her to get dressed. And she started getting dressed and she turned around and she said that she's scared that he's going to take her. And she just said those 2 words, she's scared that he's going to take her. And he took her hair, he took her hair and pushed her, pulling her hair on the floor with a gun in front of her face and telling her one more word, I'm going to kill you. And I asked her, why didn't you scream? And she said, I didn't want to give them the pleasure. But she was scared that they would hit her even more by screaming. Can you believe something like that? And I had to see that in front of my eyes.
Were you in a home? Were you in the tunnels? Where were you?
We were in, Keith and I were moved 13 times, and we were in tunnels and we were in houses. When we arrived to the tunnel, we walked and we had to figure out where to put the next step because it was so dark. The terrorist was walking in front of us with a torch on his head, but we couldn't really see where we were going. And we walked and walked, and he said that it's 40 meters underneath the ground.
So, excuse me, was it pitch black?
It was nearly pitch black. It was nearly, we couldn't even see anything. And we couldn't talk because we were finished. We were just trying to figure out how to breathe. And I remember myself lying there and saying, please, 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 just don't let Keith die before me. I want to be able to see that. And then Keith looked at me and he was like this.
Couldn't
He
breathe.
said, I feel that I can't breathe. And there was no water for us to drink there.
For
For
how
us.
long? For how long?
For days.
For days.
For days.
Not hours, days.
No, for days. And I was sure that I'm going to die. And then when he came down, he said, good news, I found a house. So we looked at each other and we said, we're going to live, we're going to have air. And when we were walking up, the girl with me said to me, I can't believe it, how you ran up those stairs, because I was finished. And she said, there must be some God that helped you come up the stairs, because I was finished. I didn't even think that I would make it.
Yeah.
And I remember us saying to each other, we're going to live, we can have air. And when we came up, we just said, air, we're going to live. And you get that feeling that you're going to live. But they didn't tell us that we're going to be moved to a house with the worst monsters in the world. They just starved us, laughed at us. We weren't allowed to stand. We weren't allowed to move. They made it pitch dark most of the time, so we couldn't even see each other. We weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to whisper.
This was a home, somebody's house.
That was somebody's house, a Hamas terrorist house.
Did he have family?
In the room next door, there was a mother and 3 children. And I saw the children a couple of times when they let them out of the room. And I saw the mother once.
And what did this mother and children think about?
They were
how
hard. I don't know, but when I think about it, that she was there knowing that her husband was behaving like he did, torturing us and hitting us and starving us and shouting at us and making it dark for us and locking the door and not letting us go to the bathroom. We weren't able to even have showers to clean our bodies. They used to lie about everything,
Sure.
everything.
Sure.
There wasn't anything that was truth. They used to say all the time, no Israel. The whole world has bombed Israel.
They would tell you the whole world has bombed Israel.
The whole world is bombed, that
Wow.
we'll never be able to go back to Israel. It belongs to Hamas. And I believed them. I believed them. I lost my hope there.
So
It was so scary.
yeah.
I was sure that I would never, ever survive.